Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to be making a cherry pyramid cake. Now this is actually cherries in rows which are rolled in pastry to create tubes. So like this, which are about 8 inches long, 7 or 8 inches long, and here I have 8 cherries inside the tube. And you take a number of those and put them on a surface, cover them with some frosting, and then put more on top and form a pyramid. Now I've seen them done with up to 15, so you have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, but I think that's far too many for a dessert. It means that one slice would end up having 15 cherries in it, for instance. So I'm going to make a smaller one, which is just going to be 3 rows of cherries on the bottom, then 2, then 1, and that would give you 6 cherries per serving. So you can actually scale this recipe up. So for instance, if you want to do 10, 4, 3, 2, 1, then you would use my recipe, but you would actually increase it. So I get 6. For 10 you would increase it by 2/3, and then for 15 you would increase it by 2.5 times, and that would give you the right amount, and I'll put details to that below the video. So for the ingredients, I have 160 grams, which is 1.25 cups of plain flour. I have 76 grams, which is 5 tablespoons plus a teaspoon of softened butter. I have 75 grams, which is 3/8 cup of caster sugar, and I have 76 grams, which is about 1/4 cup of creme fraiche. Now most recipes use sour cream, but in the UK soured cream, which is what we can buy, is far too runny for this recipe, so creme fraiche works as a very good substitute. And then for the frosting, I have 200 grams of creme fraiche or sour cream, but you need the sour cream which is at least 14% fat. And I have 40 grams, 1/3 cup of icing sugar, and then I have 35 grams of chocolate. You can use dark chocolate or milk chocolate or whatever you want, and I've just grated that and I'll put that to one side. I also have 48 cherries which I have pitted. Now you could use tinned cherries and strain off the syrup and then pat them dry and put them on paper towel so that the juice dries out. I'm using fresh cherries, and I pitted them an hour ago and stood them on this paper towel. So for the pastry, I also have an egg for an egg wash, if I didn't mention that. For the pastry, I'm going to put the butter, the sugar and the creme fraiche into a bowl, and I'm just going to cream that together and then add the flour and mix it into a dough. So that's all I need to do with that, and then add the flour and just mix it till it starts to come together and you can pull it into a dough. As you can see, that's quite nicely come together. So I'm just going to scrape the bowl down, and if I press that, it's easily working into a dough. So I'm just going to use my hand to put it all together. I'm going to form that into a disc. And then I'm going to wrap that in plastic wrap, and I'm going to chill it in the fridge for 30 minutes. Then I'll come back and we'll roll it out. And when I come back, I will have my oven preheating at 350 Fahrenheit, that's 180 Celsius, 160 Celsius with a fan, and I'll have a baking tray lined with parchment paper ready to take the pastry tubes once we fill them with cherries. Okay, I have chilled the pastry for 30 minutes and I have my oven preheating to 180 Celsius, that's 160 Celsius with a fan, 350 Fahrenheit, and I've taken the pastry out and I've divided it into 6 equal pieces of about 62 grams. So I'm going to take one piece, and I've floured my work surface a little bit. I may need more flour. And what I want to do is I want to roll each piece out into a rectangle of about 18 centimetres by 10 centimetres, 7 inches by 4 inches. And to help me with that, I've just cut out a piece of paper as a bit of a template. And flour the pastry if it starts to stick. So that's almost good enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just trim that a little bit. Like that. And that's enough. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to brush the far edge with a little bit of water. Like that. And I'm then going to take 8 cherries and I'm going to place them side by side on the pastry, but I'm leaving a little bit of space here so that I can roll them up. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I'm going to lift the pastry up onto those cherries and I'm going to roll them to form my tube like that. And then I'm going to put them onto the baking tray with the seam side down. I'll do that for the remaining ones. So with our tubes filled with cherries, rolled out and filled with cherries, I'm going to brush the top with some beaten egg. This actually isn't strictly necessary if you're going to make the pyramids, because you're going to cover it with frosting, but you could easily just snack on these once they've gone cold and the pastry has set properly. And that's what I've been doing. I have some in the freezer, and I just take one out and set it on to one side on some paper towel for about an hour, and then it's ideal for just snacking on. And then with these covered with the egg wash, I'm going to put them into the oven, and I'm going to bake them for 15 minutes until the pastry has cooked right the way through and they've got a nice golden brown. Then I'll take them out of the oven and let them cool down. Then I'll come back and we'll go on to make the frosting and form our pyramid. So the pastry tubes with cherries are out of the oven and they're cooling down. I'll show them to you in a minute, but first of all I'm going to mix the creme fraiche with the icing sugar to make the frosting. So I have the creme fraiche in a jug, and I'll just put the icing sugar in, and I'm just going to whisk it round until it's all mixed in. Like that. And then we take 3 of our tubes, which are baked like that, and we put some frosting on and just spread it over. Just like that. And then we put 2 more on. And some more frosting. And spread that over. And then the final one goes on the top, and we put the remaining frosting all over. So that we can spread it down the sides as well. Just like that. And then we can actually put that in the fridge to set up, but I'm not going to at the moment. I just want to finish this off for you. So then I'll take my grated chocolate and just sprinkle that over the top. As I say, you can use whatever chocolate you want, basically. And at this stage, you could slice it. I'm not going to at this stage because I'm going to serve it later. But you can slice that and it's ready to eat as a dessert. As I say, you can, by multiplying the recipe by 1.66, you can make a 4-tier one, and by multiplying the recipe by 2.5, you can make a 5-tier one if you want to. And I should say you can also use double cream instead of creme fraiche, and you can whip the double cream until it's as thick as you want, and then use that as the covering if you want to. So that's going to be it for this recipe. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below the video and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, which will take you to this recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well. And I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.